God put me in a position that for me to succeed, and one that I probably wouldn't have chosen.
Nobody drafted you into the NFL? Was it just because what you looked like, I guess, on the outside just didn't seem like a football player, or there was no spot for that? You didn't fit the mold?
Like, he had been signing like that hit, and the guy wanted me to sign it. I'm like, I ain't signing that.
And you're probably trying to reconcile a lot of things. What are my priorities?
Yeah.
Not just what do I do, but
Right.
maybe what do I want to do?
Right.
What should I do? What can I do?
Yep.
Tell us the play call.
Yeah.
Tell us what stadium.
Man.
Tell us who it was.
You can probably go on YouTube and look it up.
Hey, it's Rich, and you're listening to the Mature Me podcast, weekly content devoted to all things life, leadership, culture, and faith. Thank you for taking some time to tune in. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on all our social channels so you don't miss a thing. Let's listen to today's episode. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Mature Me podcast. My name is Rich Wilkerson Jr., and I'm so glad that you are joining us wherever you are at in the world today. We're excited that you are here. Hey, listen, if you're watching by way of YouTube, like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment. Helps us so much. Of course, on Spotify or Apple, go ahead and leave us a review. We love getting the privilege to come into your ears, into your cars, into your homes, and hopefully help you grow just a little bit. One of the things that we always like to mention is that if you're a leader out there, I think everyone actually is a leader. If you're influencing someone some way, somehow, I want to help you get better at that. And every Tuesday morning, I send out a free email. It's called Leadership with Rich. It's leadership handles, because we really believe as you get better, well, everyone around you is going to get better. You can go to richwilkersonjr.com right now, or go ahead and scan the QR code right there on the screen, and you can get that free email. Well, listen, today we have an incredible guest. I'm excited about the man we have on the show today, but I'm also joined by Dakota Duron. Dakota, how are we feeling out there?
Feeling fantastic today.
You are looking good, and we're pumped that you are in the chair. And I had to have you on today because our guest, well, it wasn't going to be good enough with just me. I'm going to need your help today.
I can't wait for this.
And I think you got to do like, a real introduction here.
Yeah.
I think you got to like set it up like, take us back to Shreveport, Louisiana, take us back to pregame.
Yeah.
Do it right. Do it right for people.
Yeah, we're so excited that you're listening to the Mature Me podcast today. Today we have an incredible guest, NCAA record-setting, 3-time Super Bowl participant.
Keep going.
5-time NFL All-Pro, multiple NFL records. What I would say, and we would say in the Mature Me podcast, which is important, one of the greatest receivers of all time in the NFL. Wes Welker's here. Wes, how you feeling?
Welker's, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm impressed,
boom, boom,
dude.
boom.
Like, I was expecting you all to have to be reading all that.
No, we're flowing.
Come on, that is.
We got up early this morning.
Yeah.
Dakota
Been
drove to the
studying.
wrong studio.
Right.
Had a great
In 2025,
call, yeah.
we're filming over here, and we were talking back and forth, and we're like, man, we got one of the greatest receivers of all
Are we
time.
going to mess up the intro? Are we
Yeah.
gonna, yeah. We have
And then we
at
started
least
watching
some
Steve
stuff.
Harvey clips, like how does he introduce people?
Right. Steve Harvey.
And,
That's
and,
great.
and Dakota was kind of doing, he's like, this is how you do it. I was like, bro, you got to do it.
Yeah,
We
no
have a
doubt.
lot of references, but honestly, Steve Harvey has become really one of our main
Yeah.
references for
Charlotte,
communication.
North Carolina. Put your... You can't do it. Kings of
So
Comedy, ever watch
stupid.
that?
No, I love
Classic.
it.
How you feeling?
Feeling great. Feeling great.
So glad
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah. Happy to be here. No, thanks for having me on, man. Of
course.
Really appreciate it.
We're really pumped that you're here. Wes and I met probably this past year. Been going to VOUS Church while he's here in Miami. His lovely wife, Anna, their 3 children.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to know each other more and more. And obviously, I think a lot of people know who you are, your NFL career, your coaching career. But I've really had the privilege the last few months to kind of get to know the man behind all of that. And you're even better off the field and even better off the sidelines. And so we're privileged that you're taking some time with us on the
Appreciate
Mature
it.
Me, because that's what we're all doing, man.
Oh, trust me.
Trying to
Trust me.
grow.
Trying to grow. Trust me. No, there's definitely been a lot of growth over the past year. And as you've seen, and, being around each other and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been quite the journey. And it's been really cool being involved with VOUS and coming to church, bringing my family and everything else. So we've really enjoyed it, and hopefully we stay.
Come on.
Look, he's already hitting that stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's cool for me because genuinely, and I say this is like actually honest. I think when I met you, I think you walked in my house for a crew and I was like, bro, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're my favorite receiver of all time, which is like not what you say when you're trying to be cool. Someone was like, I just got to tell you, man. Like normally I'm pretty cool. People, I'm like, I just got to be honest with you, man. Like you're my favorite of all time. And so it's been more than a treat for us. Dakota and I were talking this morning, like, this is sort of like a fun question as we kind of get into it, because we want to definitely tell you your background. We love kind of hearing your story of how you got to where you are. But when did you know I'm good at football? Not like because I always thought I was good at football, but I obviously wasn't. When you're like, bro, I'm gonna
early on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I knew I was good like in grade school and stuff, like just all growing up. Like I've always been good at it. I never knew how far it was going to go. I just really loved playing. So it wasn't like, I remember probably my junior year in college, I was like, after like the season was over and agents were talking to me, that's when I was like, all right, maybe I have a chance to do this, at the next level.
It wasn't even until your junior year that you thought you'd maybe go to the NFL.
No. Maybe thoughts of it, but no, I was like, those guys are too, like, it just seemed, but I loved playing. So it was just enjoying it every single day, working my tail off just to, do it day by day. And over time, that consistency of doing something with passion and love and everything like that, it just turned into something. But I never sat there and like, all right, I'm going to play in the NFL. Yeah, it was awesome to write on a sheet of paper when I was like 7, but it wasn't like it
didn't feel like it was.
Yeah, it didn't feel
realistic.
It didn't feel attainable, really. Like it was just but I just enjoyed it. I loved it, and
Tell us a little about you went to Texas Tech and you were playing there, and you guys were a good team. You played under an interesting coach who had a big impact on your life. Maybe just share some of that story before you even get into the NFL.
Yeah, no, going to Texas Tech, I didn't really get any scholarships coming out of high school. I was Oklahoma State Player of the Year and my senior year and all these different things, but I had no scholarships and nobody wanted me. So basically a week goes by, like a week after signing day, my coach used to coach with this guy, Tommy McVay at Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. And anyways, he was like, hey, I got this guy. He's the best football player I've ever been around, all these different things. And so anyways, next thing you know, a week after signing day, I'm taking a visit there. And it's kind of crazy because this past year I was actually they retired my number and put my name in the stadium, but and it was cool to reflect back and see what God had really done with my life and putting me at Texas Tech with Mike Leach. His first year was my first year. It was part of like the air raid offense. Everybody else was going 2 receivers. He was going 4. So it's just like some things just kind of happened and got put in place, and ended up there at Texas Tech. I was the very last scholarship, and started my freshman year and really kind of never looked back there.
I mean, it was literally like a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
as far as
it really was.
You landing there.
No doubt.
Like you're almost like a receiver that's a little bit ahead of your time and kind of pioneered a position. Yeah. How do you like encourage guys that maybe are high schoolers coming out of high school, don't have many offers? You ever get the opportunity to encourage young players like that to go, hey, whatever opportunity you get, make the most of it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the main thing is it doesn't really matter where you're at or what, because everybody I wanted to go to OU.
Oklahoma guy.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, I watched Brian Bosworth and the whole 85 the crew, like growing up. Seahawks fan, I'm like, come on, man. Like that was, Keith Jackson. I knew like all the players and all those different things, but yeah, like, I don't know. I just feel like God put me in a position that, for me to succeed, and one that I probably wouldn't have chosen.
Yeah.
And so, wherever you're at and wherever opportunities you have, I think there's that, that love, that passion, and then the consistency of doing that stuff over and over again, and waking up early and having your routine and your habits that you do every single day. And I think you continuously do that and develop those disciplines, and eventually you get the most out of yourself that you possibly can, and whatever happens from there, at least you can hold your head up high that you did everything possible.
Going from not having a scholarship until the last scholarship at Texas Tech to starting, that
Right.
seems like a pretty big jump. So you were there as far as the level of play,
Right.
but people weren't like recognizing it. Who in high school was like, you keep saying like disciplines and doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
But how did you know what disciplines? And like, was there a coach? Was there someone that you were modeling from afar?
Atomic Habits hadn't been
Um,
written yet. How did you know that?
Yeah.
James
I-
Clear wasn't even on the. Yeah.
I didn't. I just knew what hard work was.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was necessarily doing. I think I had some good mentors along the way. I mean, it was crazy. Even going into my 9th, 10th year in the NFL, I was still adding stuff. Like there was still like, so, I just knew how to work hard.
Yeah.
I would say that'd be the main thing I really knew. And then from there, it was just, all right, talking with the strength coach or, the dietitian or this or that or whatever it is, and just trying to maximize everything possible that, I had in my body.
I think when I look back on my life in areas of growth, there's always been people that have had a huge impact, mentors, voices. And sometimes you get a voice in your life that's just there for a season, that showed up and it was right on time and it was an inspirational voice, or it was a voice of discipline, correction, all those kinds of things. You've talked a little bit about your head coach at Texas Tech. Like,
Yeah.
talk about his role in your life and
Yeah.
what that relationship meant to you and how it developed you.
Yeah. No, I mean, Mike was the best. Like the thing I always loved about Mike, like he did not care. Like it was just whatever like was coming out of his mouth was coming out of his mouth. No apologies, no nothing. Like, but I respected that, and he kept everything pretty real with all of us. And it was funny. There were so many times where we'd sit there and be like a really big play in the game, and we had probably like 30 plays in this offense, right? So, I'd be like, "Hey, coach, 6-18, 8," and it's like 3rd and 4, game on the line type of deal, and he's in there, he's looking at his car, he's like, "Yeah, man, all right, just run that one," and sit there, get a first snap. But he was just, he would always just, yeah, whatever, yeah, let's go, y'all play, like be good, be great, be this, and he was constantly, encouraging us. I remember we'd have a 3 and out maybe 3 times, and you'd just be like, okay, next play. Like it was just no,
You would flow.
yeah, just very matter of fact, and we just kind of keep things moving. But there was no panic, no anything. He just, up there calling plays, and whatever happens.
And
from
he
there,
really
go.
believed in you, and he believed in your game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think early on, maybe not, just being like the last scholarship and all right, we'll probably redshirt this guy and different things like that. But, as I continued to make plays and stuff, like he was, all right, the kid can play. So,
Because you were
Brings you
balling
out.
out in college.
right.
That's what's kind of interesting. And the same thing, like that you did good in high school, but you didn't get a scholarship. And then you ball out at Texas Tech. I think Dakota was telling me that you guys like beat Texas that year, like Texas
Right.
A&M. But then nobody drafted you into the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
Was it just because what you looked like, I guess, on the outside just didn't seem like a football player, or there was no spot for that? There was you didn't fit the mold?
Yeah. And, I think a lot of scouts, and it still happens today, but they sit there in the sheet of paper, like they have like different colors, right? So it's like blue is like elite, red is like kind of in the, yellow, I forget how they do it all, but basically it's, all right, if you're this height, prototypically, this is the range they're in, this is the speed, this is the arm length, this is the hand size, this is the 40 time, this is the bench press, this is, depending on what your position is and different things like that. But So yeah, I think they look at a lot of that type of stuff and you know, and not necessarily the will or the, you know, the tape, you know,
Sure.
different things like that. Where I feel like the film kind of will explain everything.
So what was like your height and what was your what are all your like
5'9" ish?
Did you ever lie like on the, you know how they give like the heights like
I'm like, you know, folding up toilet paper and like putting it like underneath my heels, you know what I'm saying? Like I doing all that stuff.
So
all that stuff.
Dakota and his brother D, who you know,
Yeah.
they're both incredible football players, but you know they were challenged with height as well.
Yeah.
And
Challenge
my
with height
father-in-law,
is such a great term.
well, I don't want we challenge.
Trust me,
with height.
I was supposed to be a coach the whole time. Trust me.
No, you're the great white hope, man. Okay. But Dakota's dad, I don't know where he found these things, man, but he got these like
he
got these shoes. These are strange.
This is a real story.
And they're like dress shoes that look just like normal dress shoes, but the heel adds another 2 inches, but it's all on the inside of the shoe. So
It's
the way the
not
silhouette
like
looks,
a big heel on the outside.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like heels regular.
Yeah, I've seen these.
it is wild. And so
Yeah.
David D wore these for his wedding because his wife's a little bit taller than him.
Yeah.
And so just to match her height on wedding day so he could make the kiss appropriate,
right.
he
The
had
level.
a 3-inch
Just the level.
heel.
You know what I mean? Like you wanted to at least be
Yeah,
right
just to be
on with
level,
her.
just to
Yeah.
be like
Right.
on par with her
Yeah.
to go, wait a
Right.
minute, we're equals.
Right,
You know, like
yeah.
otherwise it's a very
Equally yoked.
unequally
100%.
yoked,
Yeah.
what the Bible says that,
No
you
doubt.
know, you can't do that.
Right,
So
yeah.
just to actually be biblical, he had to add height, which is crazy. Did you ever find yourself, Dakota, trying to add height like on any of your
Oh, yeah.
What is your height?
My first year, my height,
Yeah.
I'm 5'7".
5'7".
On a good day,
So
probably.
is anyone in the NFL 5'7" and over make it? Because you're 5'9",
Oh yeah,
you're taller than
no. There's been guys. I think like Darren Sproles. I think
There
he
you
was
go.
down there like 5'7". Like
basketball. Remember Muggsy Bogues?
Muggsy Bogues.
We have to call
Yeah.
these names
Yeah,
out. Sorry.
you can remember like these guys real quick because there's like 2 of them
yeah,
in like
exactly.
the last 30 years.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. No doubt.
But the line of height is great. So you were trying to add whatever you could possibly add. So
Yeah.
on paper, you don't look like you're the part whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
And I
guys,
also feel like all the offensive stuff was still just not there yet.
100%.
And so these guys
Right.
in the college, like I was saying, like the fact that you end up with Mike Leach is crazy, and then you get to the NFL, but no one's really doing that in the NFL yet.
It's basically like they go 3
God.
wide receivers whenever it's third down.
Mm.
First and second down, where like they have a fullback, they got running back, tight end. Like that's just the way the offenses kind of were. And so it was actually kind of cool. But basically when I got cut in San Diego, which I was with James Lofton, I had Tim Dwight was in front of me, a guy named Eric Parker. Like I learned so much from those guys. James Lofton being a Hall of Fame wide receiver himself, and really learning from him. I still got cut there.
So give us that story. You leave Texas Tech. No one
Yeah.
drafts you.
Right.
You go to the San Diego. How did you get to San Diego? You just went and tried out for the team, or they make an invite? How does that work?
So
in the
yeah,
NFL?
after the draft, there's basically a free agency.
Okay.
And so, and even now, like you're calling guys in the 7th round and like, hey, we can get you, you know, so-and-so amount of money or whatever it is. And so you're trying to negotiate deals to get guys after the draft. And so I was one of those guys after the draft, and it was like between there and like Tennessee and I think like Green Bay or
Yep.
whatever. And it was like, all right, you get a $10,000 signing bonus. And I was like, sold, you know? I was like, all right.
Check.
And so,
We'll hire you at VOUS Church for that. man.
yeah, hey man, let's go. Anyways, got that
Sold.
and then made the team week 1, returned kicks there. And then the very next week got cut.
What would they say? Tell me what that experience is like when you get cut in the NFL like that. Like,
So the head coach kind of brings you in, and he's just like, "Hey, this is the direction we're going." At the time, there were 4 quarterbacks on the active roster. They were down to 4 like DBs or safeties. I can't remember exactly. So they needed
who
to
was
sign
quarterback?
another
Philip
DB.
Rivers back then?
It was Philip Rivers was a rookie. Drew Brees was
Drew Brees.
starting.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. of course.
Doug Flutie was on the team.
Wow.
Cleo Lemon, he made the team. So there's
There's a crew.
Yeah, there was a crew there.
And so you're on the special teams. Did you get to actually return a kick the
I
game
did.
before? Did you do good?
I did, yeah. I did a solid job.
Yeah.
You know, average about 25 yards or whatever.
So
and
did you anticipate being cut the next week?
I didn't, and especially just being young and stuff, I didn't realize they cut people like week to week,
Yeah.
you know? And it was just like, oh, sweet, I made the team. This is awesome.
My dream.
You know?
I did this.
Absolutely. Sitting there
7-year-old, I
like,
can't
Because
wow.
you made it through all the tough
Yeah,
places.
like,
You're like,
all
I made
the
the
hard,
53.
but like,
like,
geez, like I had no shot of making this team in the spring. And anyways, I sit there and make the team. And then literally the very next week, I'm getting cut. And I was,
yeah, it's crazy.
and
What do you do when you get cut? I mean, like, what's your response?
I mean, you're kind of heartbroken. And just being so young at the time, be honest with you, I think I went and grabbed a 12-pack of beer and just like sat there and like, what the heck is going on? You know?
You just went and sat alone somewhere? Did you call home and go, I got cut?
Yeah, and just call my parents and call my agent.
Did you think it's over?
I didn't think it was over because I had a really good preseason. So I returned a punt for a touchdown. It was actually kind of crazy because I was out there during the preseason. It was like the second preseason game, and one of the guys gets hurt. That's a starter, and so I'm ready. All right, I got my helmet on, I got my chin strap on, the whole deal. So all the other guys are supposed to be. I'm not supposed to go until the fourth quarter, and it's LaDainian Tomlinson's out there, Drew Brees, like the whole first team is, and one of the receivers gets hurt, and the coach kind of looking around for somebody. And I'm like, ready right there. And he's like, all right, go. Well, we had like one check in the game plan where it was like run a slant and go. And anyways, Drew sits there and checks to it with this off coverage corner. And literally my very first play going in the game, the first quarter, I run a slant and go and get a touchdown.
That was your first catch in the NFL?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was it was a preseason game, but it's still just kind of like things like that just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Like it was you look back and I'm like, man, the Lord was really working like in a way I didn't even really understand at the time.
Yep.
You know? And so anyways, I get cut there. After that week 1 deal, picked up in Miami. I was here for 3 years. Loved everything about it, all those different things. And then I ended up getting traded to New England. And so it's kind of interesting because New England was one of the first ones to really kind of bring in that third receiver on first and second down.
Yep.
And so it just kind of timed up really well for myself of going to Texas Tech when that was first kind of being born. And then New England kind of creating those matchups and different things like that, and getting to be a part of that in the early stages.
When you left San Diego to Miami, was there things that you learned at San Diego just from being around an NFL team that you were able to go, all right, as I get this opportunity in Miami that I can even adopt these? Like, do you think you came to Miami even better than you were at San Diego just from
100%. 100%. No, being with James Lofton and then Tim Dwight, Eric Parker, like guys that did it the right way, and then learning how to run routes. Like, James Lofton would always say, whatever your best route is, do that every time. And if it's a go route, make everything seem like a go route. And so he got me thinking, well, my best route is like a choice route, 5 yards, break in, break out, sit down, all these different things. But I wasn't very fast. So trying to make it look that way off the line, but still being able to go deep. And so he really kind of changed my way of thinking about route running and trying to pair things together and different things like that. And, just really got my mind working on a lot of that stuff and just trial and error of how to run routes against different looks and all these different things. But he really kind of inspired, that way of thinking.
So you're 3 years at Miami and then you get called over to New England. And what are you thinking as you're getting there to
was that before the season? Was that mid-season? You just get a call and it's like, hey,
how's that?
So
pack your bags.
It's around this time of year. Probably
Pat's already
like
balling out.
probably, yeah. And Pats are really good. And, anyways, they're going to put a second round tender on me. So basically being a free agent, like after 3 years or whatever, my contract was up as a restricted free agent. It's all like
Terminology.
terminology and all that stuff. But basically that next year they could tender me at the second round level, which basically New England would have to give up a second round pick. Anyways, they ended up just trading for me. It was this whole deal. They're going to do a poison pill and all stuff that's like whatever. But anyways, I ended up getting traded there to New England. And yeah, it was kind of like, I was actually at my brother's house. He was redoing his house. My dad and I were actually. He was still working. But we were like putting tiles. And then all of a sudden I get a call from New England and my agent and stuff. And we're like giving high fives and all this stuff. And just, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're paying me this much and all this. And this is crazy. And we're like, and then, then I hired some dude down the road to do the tiling for me.
That's awesome. Hey, I don't have to do this anymore.
Like, all right, dude, this guy's taking my spot.
I'm good.
All right, I'm good.
Go down the street. Get this thing taken care of.
Right, no doubt.
That's what you do, man. So you get to New England. Yeah, you got to give us some. You're playing with Tom Brady. Yeah. I mean, Randy Moss, is he on that team yet? Or
he is. So he came in that same year. So Randy came in with me. Dante Stallworth did as well.
So cool.
But yeah, Jabbar Gaffney was there. We had a really good. I mean, just overall, we had a squad.
Is there any part of you like you're going there, you're excited to play, but just speaking to leaders in general, like, is there any part of you that's like a little bit insecure? Like, dang, I'm 100%. Going to play with some ballers right now. Like, what were some of the things that you were trying to make sure you had your head on right whenever you're going to a team that's that talented to be more excited about the opportunity rather than like, oh, I'm against you, rather than I'm with you?
No, I mean, I feel like I really had to earn it, like I knew, just like but really just working the same way I always have. But there was obviously some times where it's like, shoot, man, like, do I fit, and I knew I did, but at the same time, like there's always like those thoughts of, bad things or whatever. But really, like, I think the more I got into the system and more I just practiced, and towards the end of the spring, it was like Tom and I started clicking, and it was like, okay, no, this is going to be different. And we talked, like, literally we'd sit there, we'd go through a 10-play period, and we'd talk about every single play and what he saw, what I saw, all these different things. And you just kind of like do that over and over and over again to where it's just like you're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what the other person is going to do against every single look possible with every route possible, to a point where it's just, he already knows.
Yeah.
I already know.
You feel like you're on the same page.
Yeah.
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 And is there anything about Tom or Belichick or another coach that, like, before you even started a practice, was there a meeting that they're like, hey, we brought you in here to do this, that gave you confidence? Or it's not really how it works in the NFL?
It was funny. I remember, like, they signed me, and it was kind of like, we gave a second round pick for that guy. Like, what? It was kind of like, at the time, like, what are they doing type of deal. And I remember Scott Pioli, he was the GM there. He was like in his office, and I was waiting outside of it. And I don't even know if he set this up or what, but he was like, I'm telling you, he's going to be a good player. I'm like, golly, is he talking about me? Like, I'm sitting there like, no, we're putting it on the line for him, but, it's almost less like, geez, man, hope I come through, but it always seemed like they were doing stuff like that around there on purpose. You know, it was almost
things were set up like that.
Yeah,
it's like a movie.
Exactly. Like, you'd be walking through the halls, and like Bill be walking past, and like no idea you're even there. Just keeps it moving, and you're like,
no acknowledgement.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, coach.
And you're just like,
it's your boy Wes.
Yeah. It's like, all right, what did did I do? I mean, I busted that one play, but like, was it that bad? Like,
Does he hate
you
me
know,
right now?
like, yeah, like, I mean, it
kinda-
Was
he
that the
kinda
first
hates
coach?
you.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I
just
hate
sitting there like, okay.
Was that a totally different organization and leadership structure than you were used to?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And really just even the locker room. Like, I mean, you know, Vrabel was there, Teddy Bruschi, you know, Rodney Harrison,
Jeez.
you know, Vince Wilfork, Richard Seymour, Logan Mankins, Matt Light, you know, obviously Randy, Tom, like Ben Watson played forever in the league. Like we had a crew of just dudes.
Yeah.
And doing it the right way.
So I was going to say, a lot of those guys are ball players, but they're leaders.
Leaders. Like we just got like Junior Seau. Like, I mean, the list like went on and on of just guys. And so when it came to stuff in the locker room or guys not wanting to do this, or, you know, it was like, that wasn't happening. And like, it wasn't necessarily Belichick or anything. It was the locker room. And Belichick was hard on us, obviously, but you know we knew what we were trying to accomplish that year, and we knew we had the right guys, and not just the right talent, but the right people, and it was a special deal.
Whenever you're encouraging, like as a coach now, players to take autonomy and authority, is that the team that you're referencing?
100%.
Is that the team that you're like, hey, this is the reference for what it looks like, not to be policed from above, but to be policed from within?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And is there anything that about that many leaders where they were on different pages at times, or did it seem like there was a real unity on that team? Like, all those guys are saying, I feel like a lot of them are coming from other places where they were the leader.
Right.
Then they're coming into New England where they're one of many leaders. How did that all mesh?
I you know, it wasn't just one guy. It was like a collection. It wasn't, you know, obviously Junior's going to give the pregame speech. But really other than that, man, it was everybody just doing their jobs and buying into what we're trying to do. Like there was, I can't remember, you know, there's obviously going to be disagreements and different things like that, but I can't ever think of a time where it got like sideways or anybody had to step out and, you know, police something in a way that like was different or like it was just
had one goal.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And everybody was on it.
The power of a culture is always an incredible thing. The invisible ingredient in the room of how everyone behaves is culture. And obviously New England and the Patriots are known for the culture there.
Right.
Let's talk about Tom Brady for a moment.
Yeah.
What's impressive about him in terms of being with him one-on-one, being on a team with him? He's done things that no other quarterback's ever really accomplished before. What makes him stand out from your own experience?
I think the same type of deals is like the passion and the consistency of doing all these minute type deals over and over and over again and really just adding to it and trying to make himself the best he can possibly be. Like it's literally a real thing where it's just like a obsessive compulsive almost.
Sure.
You know, how much he dives into it and how much he studies and the work he does for his body and everything and all the maintenance and all those different things. It's a different deal as far as all that. And then, you know, having command in the huddle. It's kind of funny with him because it's almost like he's in the locker room, but he's not in the locker room. Like he's always doing something. So there was never really much camaraderie with Tom. He was like, I'm doing this. I'm doing like, I'm going to get ready for practice or going to work on my legs and they're going to, you know, and I'm going to do this. And, you know.
He was always working.
Always working. And like, you know, we're going to screw around in the locker room or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, kind of having some camaraderie. Like he was like, and he still would, but it was just, he was gone.
Do you feel like, I feel like just from your story and like what I know about you is like, you're a dog. Like you're in high school, like you're outworking people. You make it Texas Tech. You don't get drafted. You're at San Diego. You go to Miami. Right. Now you're on the Pats. Like so much of like your career and even just like your life and like a hallmark of the, you know, a trait of who Wes Welker is like, I'm a hard worker.
Right.
Tell me what's got to be done. I'll go further.
Right.
But then you get onto a team like that. Are you like taken aback? Like, do you think they're working harder than you? Does that make your work level go up?
100%.
Are you ever like, this is too much?
No.
Are you ever, you just rise to the occasion with it? Are you going, I didn't know people worked this hard? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
All the above.
I think all the above. I back then, a lot of people, like during the off season and stuff, and I really kind of learned this early on, really more from James Lofton, but and just through time. But to me, the most important time for an NFL player, you get about 5 or 6 weeks off during the summer, and like the coaches are off and all that stuff. But like players, that's like your time, like to really get ahead of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people go on vacation. A lot of people go, like, oh, yeah, I got 5 weeks off. And it's like, no, like, if you're trying to do something in the league, like, that 5 weeks it's got to be hell. And it's literally like twice,
Training,
2 a day, 3 a day, really kind of getting after it. And so, I think I'm getting like sidetracked with everything. But,
no. Like,
but
I'm saying, did you start taking those 5 weeks and start training? Like after, were you already doing that or you learned that?
No, I did that. And then I think as time goes on, like you add stuff that you're going to do. Like when Tom did so much body maintenance work and stuff, I was like, dang, all right, I get a massage like every week, but like, okay, like this is different. And so what are you doing with this? And so a lot of it was asking questions and everything. I remember Zach Thomas would always get in the cold tub after practice. Every Friday, him and Junior would get IVs. I'm in the cold tub after practice. Yep. I'm getting IVs on Friday. Those guys played a long time. Like I'm picking up
Zach
habits
had a guy
for
who was
myself.
always stretching him all the time too. He was 100%. So flexible. And
yeah, well, sort of, You're talking about Zach.
Zach Thomas?
Oh, yeah. He'd like turn his head.
Oh, yeah. But I mean,
hit too many people.
No, you got to keep that neck strong, man. That's
keep that
just wore the neck roll all the time.
But he did. He was always stretching and working on his flexibility you pick up so much stuff over the.
So there was a big documentary that came out this past year on Apple about the Patriots. You had a big part in all of that. What was that like telling that whole story? Were you allowed to just, I thought you guys were pretty unfiltered, but someone must still be kind of.
No, it was a very on edge like atmosphere. And it was, there was a lot of days where it was just like, you didn't know what you were getting. Like I talked about with Bill, like you'd be walking by and like, you wouldn't even see you sometimes and you have no idea. And like, you feel like it's mind games and it could be just, he's focused on something else.
Sure.
But yeah, the culture was, it was right. There were just times where it was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
This is, I think there's certain times where like it could have been handled in a different, everybody's own opinion of it. But
did you like how that documentary came out?
Tell you the truth, I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
Yeah. I'm like, are you talking about Aaron Hernandez or are you talking like, which documentary? No, I'm just
It was a 10-part series on the Dynasty. Is incredible.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. No, I think I got through like maybe the first couple, but I
love Wes, man.
Know, man.
I'm not watching that stuff.
Yeah. I kind of moved on. Like it was good.
Sure.
But
I hear you.
Like,
yeah.
I didn't really finish it all the way through.
I know you said you played with some Hall of Fame receivers at the Chargers, and Tom Brady's obviously a GOAT, but you also played with Randy Moss in the same receiver room as him.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Was that, this guy's a totally different level than anyone I've ever played with, or?
Oh, 100%. Oh, he
that
was
far
just,
and above.
Yeah. Yeah. When he wanted to be, man, like it was like, that dude could light it up. And it was like just watching him a lot of times, like early in the game, if he gets a big one, like look out. Like he's about to go off and just run away with the game. But
that was kind of the secret for him. Get him going early.
Yeah.
100%. And you guys had one of the most like prolific seasons of all time at that point.
Right.
Was that like the most fun year of your football
so
career?
Much fun.
Would you point to your NFL career and go that year or
100%?
That was
100%,
a year, man.
Dude. It was just and more so, not even, yes, the winning and everything, all that stuff, but just like the locker room and the guys that we had. And, even like Matt Castle, Larry Izzo, like, backup quarterback and the special team, it's just like everybody played their role. And it was, just a bunch of men that were, ready to be coached and ready to play hard and do whatever we had to do to win.
So Wes Welker's my favorite, receiver, Great White Hope.
Okay.
And then my favorite maybe basketball player has got to probably be White Chocolate Jason Williams.
You say that.
Guess who went to high school with Randy Moss?
Jason Williams. Yep.
And they say, I think Jason Williams was the quarterback.
Yep.
And I guess Randy Moss was a dog of a basketball player too. I mean, these are two freak out. Were they from West Virginia?
West Virginia.
Yeah, just
West
freak
Virginia
athletes.
boys.
I know, man.
Those boys.
100%.
That's something to me right there, man. That Jason Williams and Randy Moss went to the same high school.
I know.
What are we talking about?
It's basically the same year, I think, too. Like,
Yeah, they're on the same teams. Like he's throwing the ball to them. They both could have probably gone pro in both sports. It's
no
like,
doubt.
who are these boys, man?
doubt.
Jason Williams highlights are some of the coolest.
Oh my
No doubt.
gosh.
He's got
No
some
doubt.
plays that are freaky.
And if you ever watch like some of his like what's the opposite of like a highlight? Like
no, I haven't.
bro, he's passing.
It's like a
like
blooper reel.
stands or something, like shooting over the hoop or something. It's like, what was that?
Think about
Taking
those
a half
type of
court
guys,
shot,
right?
like but
Air ball.
the highlights are amazing, what I mean? But
Right.
there's also a repercussion of the other side. Sometimes when those things, when you do those trick plays,
No
you know,
doubt.
it's like, where'd that
No
ball
doubt.
go? Like hit a ref in the face.
Don't show that one. Yeah.
It's so good, man.
No doubt.
Dakota and I are totally fanboying on this today. We're just asking all these football questions. You're playing for New England, but somewhere in there, you meet your wife, and we haven't even got to talk about the other side of who you are as a father and as a husband, and also a man of God. But maybe just share how you met her.
Yeah.
I think there's actually an interesting story because I'm almost positive, brother, that I was there the same weekend that you met your wife, which is a bizarre fact that I know. But as Greg already gave you weird facts that he knows about you, I think I was there at the Derby that same time. But you met your wife, and share that story.
Yeah. So we were at the Barnstable Brown party, I believe it was what it was called. But it was like a party the night before at the Derby. So we go to it. I'm with like all my boys from New England and everything. And anyways, sit there and we're all hanging out and ended up getting introduced by one of my buddies. And anyways, got her number, all that stuff. And we kind of text, for about a week or whatever after that. And I ended up actually flying back out there the next weekend.
She's from Kentucky.
Her mom was living in Kentucky at the time.
Okay.
She was living in Florida, but yeah, I flew back out there and took her out on a date. And then she ended up being in New York like the next weekend. And, so I took the train down the next weekend and hung out down there. And so it was just kind of, I don't know, just over time. And from there, we ended up getting married a couple years later. We got 3 kids. Carter and Caroline are 9 twins. And then we got 7-year-old Jack. So they're a handful.
How long have you guys been married now?
So we've been married, what is it now? Coming up on 13 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
It's
a
been
big
good,
deal.
man. No, it is. No, and it's been good. It's I think through any marriage or anything, there's always ups and downs and everything like that. And it's cool to have that person, kind of even see me through the other side of, all of the different things in life that, I've been through or she has or whatever. So it's
How do you
cool to
think
have
your
that.
wife has helped you in your career, but also just as, becoming the man that you are today?
Yeah, I think just a lot of it is just the support, I mean, I remember when we first started dating, I actually tore my ACL that year and I ended up having rotator cuff surgery. So I'm literally like,
Banged up.
and yeah, I'm done. And so, her just being there and supporting through all those hard times, all those different things that come up in life, or all of a sudden I got to move to Denver, and I didn't get re-signed by New England, and she's had to move so many times, and just always. She was never really happy about it, but at the same time, just always very supportive, and it's not an easy thing, and especially with kids now and everything, just all the moving around or packing up and trying to make everything, feel like a home for our family and everything. And, she does an amazing job at it.
Do you think your kids understand who you are?
Yes. I think so, but
do they think that's
I don't
really
know.
cool, or like?
I think so. I try to not to make it like even that much of a big deal at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, really it's just, I'm dad. So like they know it, but every once in a while, like Carter would be like, well, my dad's what? I'm like, stop. We're not doing that. Okay. Don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're not like, and so, trying to teach them humility and,
Is that your oldest son?
Things like that. Oldest son. Yeah.
Awesome.
The other day, my son said, "Dad, who's the best preacher in the world?"
Did he really?
Yeah, I said, "Son, that's
That's
subjective." I go, "That's subjective." I go, "Who do you think?" He goes, "I think you are." I go, "That's a pretty good decision." I go, "Many would agree with you."
Yeah. Right answer, son. That's so
I'm like, if I can't win at home, bro,
No, 100%.
like, I don't really care what other people think. But for now, if there is a competition of preaching,
I just love the question.
in my house, I'm winning.
Yeah.
Just came up with that. Who's the
Well,
best
I just,
preacher in the world?
I'm just saying, if your kid's like, "Dad, who's the best receiver?" You're looking at him. So
Yeah.
So good.
I always taught my
No.
kids, like, your dad's a great man.
Yeah. No, there's definitely times where I'm sitting there like teasing them about that
Yeah.
stuff and whatever. But,
What's your relation like with your parents?
Really good. My dad, he's been retired for a while now, but he was an engineer at AT&T. Started with Southwestern Bell, then became AT&T, and then my mom, she's still a nurse in labor and delivery back in Oklahoma.
Wow.
So
Hardworking people.
Yeah. So a lot of it just blue collar, come to work, go to work, and all those things. I went to a private school there called Heritage Hall. They made tons of sacrifices for me and my brother to be able to go to school there, and extremely thankful for them making those sacrifices to get to go there, and was there from preschool all the way to 12th grade, and awesome childhood, and always supportive, and being there for me, and all those different things. So
I know it's annoying when you're in the middle of a conversation and someone interrupts like this, but I wouldn't do it unless it was really, really important. Listen, this is an ad-free podcast. However, we do tell you about some of the great things that we are doing right here on the ground in Miami, Florida. And I want to speak to you about something that really means a lot to me, and that is VOUCon 2025. Are you looking to grow? Do you want to build community? Do you want to strengthen your faith? Something tells me the answer is yes. That's why you're watching Mature Me. Well, I want to invite you to Miami, Florida, June 19th through the 21st for VOUCon 2025. Listen to me. This is going to be our greatest year yet. Our theme this year is Dying to Be Different. It's 3 incredible days in the Watsco Arena. You've never, ever experienced the power of God until you've got into an arena with 7,000 other people lifting up one name. The entire convention is all about encountering God, equipping the church, and empowering the next generation of leaders. This year, we've got Sadie Robertson, we've got Darius Daniels, we've got VOUS Worship, and trust me, there are so many other guests that are coming. Right now, quickly, go to VOUCon.com to get registered, and I will see you in Miami in June. Let's get back to the combo. I think our careers obviously are an important part of who we are, but it's just a part. I think maybe the most important things we get to do is obviously love our wives and raise our kids. What are some things when it comes to being a dad for you that like are really important? Like, what are some of your principles?
Well, I think first and foremost, and I we've really kind of been on our kids about that, like manners, I feel like are very, very important. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, please. Thank you. Just those simple things, are kind of like,
lost in 2025.
Yeah. And so I'm constantly, and a lot of times I'm away. And so Carter's usually pretty good about it. Caroline and Jack are a little bit, but that's always like a big one for me. I always want to try and just be there, whether it's a sporting event or whatever. Yeah. It's really hard, especially during the season, but during the off season, being able to make, soccer practice or football practice or, just, trying to be present with some of that stuff and then finding those interests for them to, all those things.
Was becoming a dad, was that like a big mindset change for you? Was that like super smooth for you? Is like, oh, I just snapped into it, came natural? Or whenever you're in the middle of your career, was that something that was super difficult? Like,
yeah, it was probably difficult at first. I mean, the kids were born, and then I was basically a free agent at that point. I just finished up in Denver, and so I was like, all right, I'm just waiting on the perfect opportunity, possibly to win a Super Bowl. I got down to like these 4 teams I'd go play for. And then about 8 weeks into the season, I'm like, just get me out of the house. I'm like, I'm like claustrophobic in here. Like, you got the twins and everything like that. And I'm just like, dude, I need a job, bro. Yeah. And so I told my agent, I'm like, I'm opening it up. Just get me somewhere. And so I ended up going to St. Louis. A lot of people probably don't even know I played there for like 8 weeks towards the end of the year. But yeah, and then Anna and the kids moved out there with me, and we're like in this 2-bedroom apartment, and we're sitting there like, I'm trying to figure it out and, going back and forth. But
it's such a wild experience becoming a dad, and it's such a new season and phase of life. I just had my 4th, as you know. Dakota's expecting his 4th.
Yeah.
Wow. And man, I think every child's a blessing. It all comes on your perspective, but there is parts of you, I'm saying, that you are losing in the sense of like, it's just more responsibility. Like my life is not my own.
Yeah.
I always make that joke that I've never had maybe more resources or more opportunity. Like if we want to go get on an airplane and I go to Mexico, we could do that, but actually I can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
no, 100%.
No one's telling me I can't. No, I just literally can't. Yeah. I just have 4 children and a wife. Like the restriction, the responsibility grows with the resource. And so I think that's a big part of becoming a man. And I think sometimes people can look at someone like a Wes Welker and go, oh, it's such a dream. But I think that where you're wanting to win is not just always on the field, but it's off the field.
100%.
And I think that's what separates good to great. That separates, just someone who's successful according to the world standards versus someone who's like trying to become the man that God's called them to be, is that I'm actually welcoming the responsibility.
Right.
And as I welcome this responsibility, I believe that I'm becoming who God's called me to be.
Absolutely. No, I think there's so many times where, you get asked to go do this or go do that or whatever. And it's like this weekend, that way. Well, I only got so many weekends.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm trying to eat it up as much as I can. And when it comes to spring break or whatever, like, there've been times it's like, all right, you're going to work till Tuesday. And I'm like, bro, like we're flying out on Saturday. Like, do we really need to go Monday, Tuesday? Like, come on, like, please, like, and so like, it's just like, what are we doing?
Sure.
And so, but it's definitely something that's very, very important to me. Just the time, just because you don't have much of it. And it sucks, having to say no as much as I'm having to, but I also know I have it. Like,
saying yes to the right things.
Yeah. Right.
That's a journey, knowing what to say no to and what to say yes to. And I find the older I get, that becomes more and more important.
Yeah.
I want God to bless my yes. And so I've got to actually make sure I'm strategic with my no's. Yeah. One of the things that's really fascinating about you that maybe people might know about is that you had a lot of concussions. And I think it's kind of like a relevant topic just even in today with what we're finding out. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And then I think you were quite outspoken even with the NFL because there wasn't much, aid coming to you. But how many concussions did you have? What was that experience like?
Can you also tell us What's the hardest you were ever hit?
Oh,
in the
gosh.
NFL? Tell us the play call.
Yeah.
Tell us what stadium.
man.
Tell us who it was.
You can probably go on YouTube and look it up. But Ryan Clark, he hammered me. Like he got me good. He got me good. Yeah.
You have to look at that guy on ESPN all the time.
But I know,
Come
dude.
on, get
like
this guy out of
seriously,
here.
I can't stand that guy, man.
I'm sitting
We
there
start talking trash about
I
him.
was like doing this signing one time, and like he had been signing like that hit, and the guy wanted me to sign it. I'm like, I ain't signing that.
No, man. You posterized my most damaging
That's
transaction.
disrespectful,
I
bro.
know, bro. I'm like, come on, man. Because, like I'm sitting there like. That was a bad one, though.
It's kind of how I felt when I was watching the inauguration the other day. Like, I don't want to get into politics, but like, you go up there, love them, hate them, and you try to like win the presidency and you lose.
Yep.
But you don't just lose. You got to show back up if you're like Kamala Harris and sit there and watch somebody.
Right?
You're like, I hate Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris. I'm like,
it's a roast, man.
Yeah, you're like, this is just people
so
just
different.
cheering.
I don't really know.
Standing ovation. You're like, I hate my life.
What other sphere of life does that happen?
I don't know. I just can't
such an
imagine.
interesting thing.
You lose the Super Bowl. Now we want you to go to every after party for the Super Bowl for the opposing team. It's like, why aren't you standing?
That's a good
Because
point.
I don't want to stand.
He said the Super Bowl after party, you can leave,
I want to be in my basement eating ice cream and crying. I don't want to see anybody.
No, put on your best suit.
Yes,
It was all
totally.
over their face. It definitely was.
We love our country.
Yeah.
So anyways,
sorry
they
to
want you to
deter
sign it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
I'm
was
not
probably
signing
one of the
that.
biggest hits. But I like a guy like Rodney Harrison too. Like that dude was an animal. To me, he should be a Hall of Famer. But he was a guy. John Lynch was a dude that brought it.
Gosh,
like,
John Lynch, he's a
dude,
monster.
No doubt, and unbelievable dude as well. And
He was good at turning his neck as well.
Yeah. White guys on defense.
Yeah, those guys were like,
that ain't your deal.
Yeah. Like the Tin Man from
You ain't
Wizard of
turning your
Oz.
neck, no
Put some
doubt.
oil in that thing.
No doubt.
So how many concussions did you have?
I mean, you know what's funny? Like going through the whole process, because I did a line of duty deal and stuff, but I almost don't want to say it because they will actually take this and be like,
let's not say it then.
But I would say 10 plus.
Yep.
Diagnosed somewhere in that area. Don't know exactly what that is, but around there. And I think the time you need to heal in between them and different things like that. I also think, for me being done playing football, and it's a very tricky thing, I think, for a lot of players is once you're done playing, what do I do next? And I'll tell you, probably the hardest year of my life was my year after I was done playing because I'd been playing since
you were a kid.
You were a boy.
Yeah, and I always had structure and everything. And then all of a sudden, it's nothing. And so it's like, what do I do? And so I got these 2 kids, and all right, now we got a 3rd one coming, and all these different things. And it was really probably a dark time, for me, and drinking, and just kind of going down the wrong path. And then I ended up getting the job in Houston to be a coach there with Bill O'Brien down there, and actually Mike Rabel's on the staff, Anthony Weaver, who's the defense coordinator here, and stuff like that. And I think the main thing for me was always just trying to stay busy and trying to take my mind, where I'm not just still and stagnant or not doing something.
Sure.
And always working towards a goal or being focused on something. I think it's been key for me as far as all those concussions of just staying active.
Yeah.
It's so interesting you talk about when you were done playing football, because I think there's a lot that people can't relate to when it comes to football.
Right.
But I think there's so much that people can relate to that.
Yeah.
That something's taken away. We had one of our first podcasts we did was with Aiden King. And Aiden singing from a young age in an incredible band for a long time. And then all of a sudden, like, because of COVID and everything, like they stopped touring. And he kind of said almost, it's like I'm having deja vu. It's like the same sentence where he's like, structure was just taken from me. I was given a call time and I was given this and that. And it's funny, it could not be two different
Right.
things. Talking about a church band
No
or
doubt.
talking about NFL player, but there's something in between that I was doing something and now I'm not. And you're probably trying to reconcile a lot of things. What are my priorities?
Yeah.
Not just what do I do, but
Right.
maybe what do I want to do?
Right.
What should I do? What can I do?
Yep.
It's just a lot of questions.
Yep.
Now you're on the other side of that. I know you said you had a tough year,
Mm-hmm.
but in your life right now, it seems like your family's thriving, doing incredible. What advice do you give people in a season like that? Is there any like preemptive, is there any proactive things that you can do in your mind that before that moment happens, that you can even be ready for it?
Yeah, like I think at that time, like I wouldn't say that there was like a right answer at that moment. You know, I think, you know, kind of going through what I went through, because to me, I developed a lot of bad habits through that. And that kind of stuck with me, that, you know, I was trying to, you know, get rid of. And I think, you know, my relationship with the Lord, that's really kind of developed in the past year, you know, as I look now and like leaning into that for me now, like in understanding how important that is, and what that's even in the past year, and even what's going on now. Like it's like it doesn't stop, but I'm in such a better mindset of like the anger probably would have grabbed hold of me, you know, of why is this happening? Why? And it's just like, all right, just let it be. You know, I'm trusting his plan and whatever that is, and wherever he's guiding me, like, cool.
And was it an anger that you felt when your career ended?
Yeah, in a way, like I think it always went to kind of anger, like why are they not calling? Wow, you know, or why, you know, is it over, or sadness, or, you know, whatever kind of those emotions are kind of taken over in those particular times where, you know, you're just really trying to just figure it out. And it was funny, once I got the job at Houston, it was like, okay, you got to do this Microsoft Excel over here. I'm like, bro, I got no skills, bro. I know ball, but like they're sitting there like doing like,
you're downloading the Microsoft Office.
Oh, bro, it's
on
like,
the Surface,
bro. No, I didn't even know. I'm like, I'm not your guy
like
for
ball,
this.
Like throw me the ball. You know, I kicked a field goal one time in an NFL game. I can do that, bro.
I don't need a computer.
I can put together some tapes
cones
and everything and show you film and all that, like all day long. But
I think what's an interesting thing, and I think once again, like I think this is for all people, but certainly for men, which is like there's like these phases and seasons of life. Tonight we have a big service we're going to, and I'm preaching on Moses. And Moses' life, he lived 120 years, but it's really easy to like kind of outline his life in 3 sections. Yeah. First 40 years, he's in Egypt. Then he goes out into the wilderness. The next 40 years, he's sort of living in obscurity. The last 40 years is when he's, you know, wandering in the wilderness with the Israelites. So like first 40 years, it's like he's trying to be somebody. The second 40 years, he's trying to be nobody. And then the third 40 years, he's finally signed up going, okay, God, like use me. And I just think in every man's life, we can find a season where we find momentum and we can find a structure, and our identity gets wrapped up in what we're doing.
Right.
But when that's taken away, and we can go from Aiden to Wes to, I know so many preachers that, you know, they lost their job or they got canceled or they made a mistake. I mean, in my line of work, it's like you make a mistake and you're out. You don't get to come back to that. Well, if I can't preach, what else have I been working on for 20 years? It's like,
no doubt.
Well, I'm not allowed to preach, so Wes, want me to pray for you? No, I'm good, man. You prayed for me yesterday. Okay, well, I guess I have no skills.
Right.
And the reinvention of ourselves is a massive, massive skill and a massive leap of faith that no one really teaches you. But I think all men will have to go through it. And, you know, I turned 40 this past year. We always talk about, we even started this podcast because it's sort of that midlife moment where guys eject and quit. Right. A lot of it's just because it's like, I don't have the stamina of my youth, and I feel like my relevancy or whatever I was doing now feels different, and I don't know how to become a man. I liked being a kid. Yeah. So I think all of it's transition, and what do you do in the transitions? And I think how we respond to transition is what develops our maturity. Yep. And it doesn't surprise me at all to find out, I did this for my whole life,
Right.
and now this is taken. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like all the phases of grief. Everything you explained it. Yeah, you're going to go through all those emotions. You're going to be
Right.
angry.
Right.
Anger is
Right.
because I've lived my life driven, and now I have nothing
Right.
to drive towards. And so
Right.
this energy comes out angry. Or there's going to be sad. There's going to be
Yeah.
loss, betrayal, confusion.
Got it.
And I think the big thing is like to continue to try to move forward and take steps.
100%.
And I think it is beautiful that you're a man of faith. And I
Yeah.
think that for people that don't have a relation with Christ or don't have any kind of faith, I think they can get really trapped and they can find themselves getting stuck.
100%.
And some people get stuck, senior year
Yep.
after state championship, they never get to go to the next level. And they're still back there at the ball field. And some guys get stuck in a phase of life that they were when they were before they had kids.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
life is moving. The question
Yeah.
is, are you?
Mhm.
Right.
And can I step into this next season with a fresh perspective? Can I come to it and approach it with humility
Yeah.
that, hey, cool, that was great what happened in the past, but I'm believing that something new is on the way and something better is in front of me. You mentioned like your relation with the Lord, and you even kind of said like this past year,
Mhm.
it's kind of grown. When did you meet Jesus? How long have you been walking with the Lord?
Yeah.
Can you kind of reflect on any of that?
Yeah. No, it's funny. Probably, I remember I came to VOUS for the first time and it was like, I'm coming from Oklahoma. So it's like, all right, this is different,
Sure.
and we were trying to find a new church in the area. So tried a couple and everything. And it was like, I felt something different in that first time. But it was just like, all right, this is kind of weird, they're all raising their hands. They're all, like they're kind of getting after it, like, and everything. And so anyways, when I came back the next time, it was like a little more used to it. And I feel like, I don't remember exactly what we were preaching on or whatever, but it did feel like, it was speaking to me, and just at the time where I was in my life and everything like that. And I think, I started doing the Bible in a year or whatever. I think I'm on like day 325 or
Let's
something
go.
like that.
It's huge.
So,
That's
yeah, it's actually been cool. Me, my brother, and my dad, we do a devotional together. Just cool stuff like that's kind of, taking hold. Which is
beautiful. It's building your
awesome.
faith for sure.
Yeah,
You got that job in Houston. You started a coaching career.
right.
You've been here at the Dolphins coaching. Talk
Right.
about difference between coaching versus playing. Maybe some of the lessons that come to
man.
your mind, like what you don't like. You ever out there going, let me just get in the game. I'll show you how to do it.
Right.
No, there's some really cool aspects to it. I think the relationships that you get from it, and watching guys get better and kind of realize their dreams and trying to give them those same habits that James Lofton and, Eric Parker and Tim Dwight, when I first got to San Diego, like that I got as a rookie and, trying to help me along the way and being able to kind of be that mentor. Like I've pretty much been in every scenario where I've been the guy cut, and then I've also been the guy franchised on a team.
Mm.
So just the different experiences that
Mhm.
I know what it's like to be a practice squad guy. Know how it's like to be the guy that's targeted 15, 20 times a game. And just the different mindsets that you're kind of in at that point.
Mm.
One deal I have in our room that, I think holds true in life and in everything, but it's basically you never arrive. And really, I think in the
There you go.
NFL, if you ever like, oh, I made it, I'm there, like you're done. And you just have to be on point throughout everything that you're doing, every decision you're making, every choice you're making to the betterment of the team. And not for a selfish type of way, but what's best for the team? Well, it's also best for you, yes, but what's best for the team? And I think trying to get guys to understand that, it's easier said than done. But to me, I think with the right individuals and the right people together, like that's what we had in 07, and not that you're chasing that or anything like that.
But it creates a standard that you at least kind of go, we're this is somewhere to aim towards. Yeah.
It's doable, and so we'll see.
And the other thing that we were talking about a few months, I think before the season started, is you were talking about just coaching this new generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for you, it seems like, I've never heard you say this, but it seems like if in college, Coach Mike Leach said, go run through that wall, you would have done it because he told you to. You know what I mean? Not because you knew the why or
because you asked
what's
me
going to help. It's like no, I'm going to do that. Yeah. And that almost was like kind of maybe a standard back in the day. And obviously everything that we read, whether it's data, whether it's articles about the NFL and NCAA, the game is changing. And some guys that have had as much success as you have decided to sit on the sidelines, cross their arms, and go, "Oh, I'm bitter. We were better. We were tougher." Right. You've done the opposite. You've tried to partner with this next generation and make them better. What have you learned about trying to learn these guys and try to coach these guys and develop them?
Yeah. I do feel like there's a certain degree of like a partnership with each other. Like, we're in this together type of deal. Like I to me, trying to paint that picture for them of understanding like, dude, we're in this together. This isn't me like coming at you in any sort of way. This is us like trying to be the best that we can possibly be. I think some individuals it works, some it doesn't. Like, I remember, in San Francisco, when you get guys young and you're able to just like my first year as a receiver coach, we got Debo, and then and Debo's the man. Like he's like brother to me. We still talk all the time. And we had Emmanuel Sanders, who I played with. We traded for him during that year, and he knew what I was about, and he knew like, and he also was just the best dude ever. And bringing those groups together and just building guys up when they're young. Like a lot of times when they're rookies, they just don't know any better, So you're able to kind of mold them and teach them exactly how you want them, to not act and everything, but their habits and how they're eating,
how to approach the game.
All these different things. Like, and then we got Brandon Ayuk the next year, and then Juwan Jennings in that same draft class, and seeing those guys really lift up their game, and it's not even necessarily year one. Juwan Jennings was on practice squad the whole first year he was there in San Fran. I was like staying on the table for this dude to come to our team, and here he is on practice squad. He tore his hamstring. It was COVID. He was like exercising on a bike in a garage. I was like, oh, geez, what have we done here? But then he turns
Rocky
into
Balboa.
a baller, but it's cool stuff like that, being able to kind of get guys young and try to teach them the right way to do things. And, when they really kind of lock into it and all the techniques of playing the position and all those different things, and it makes it fun.
And you're getting to instill values and principles and culture beyond football.
100%.
And I would imagine, coaching is probably much like pastoring, that you're shepherding someone. And of course you're trying to develop winners, and you want to make guys, your role is to make them a better ball player. But I think when you go in with even a deeper mindset of going, I want to make a better man, you're going to get both. And I think over time they're going to respect you more, and they're going to come back one day and say, thank you for imparting something into me. You had, you've been coaching with the Dolphins this past year, and you guys had quite a team. Like maybe the craziest group of receivers ever put together with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and OBJ. What's it been like? These guys are big personalities off the field, probably a little bit different even from maybe your flow. Any things that you learned, like trying to coach these guys that are so talented? Maybe do you see yourself in them, or not really, because you're kind of a different player? Like you weren't given all of those maybe God-given talents. No, there's no question. No, I mean,
I love all those guys.
Yeah.
Like I really do. You know, I feel like, you know, we had good relationships and you know, I you know, trying to mentor them and help them out, not just on football field. Like football for those guys is like very, very easy.
Right.
You know? It's just like
So interesting.
it's more just being in the right headspace on a day-to-day basis. You know, that's the struggle.
Sure.
And you know, I think the more you kind of talk with those guys and try to mentor and pray with them and different things like that, and just trying to, you know, get them on the right path. And whether it happens right away or right there, it could be 5 years from now. It could be like whatever. Like they may not know what they don't know yet.
Yeah.
You know, and but at some point, life's gonna hit in a different type of way.
Yep.
And you know that I always want to be that guy that's kind of there for them when that happens. You know,
Certainly.
and no matter what we've been through or what's happened or anything like that, but still being able to sit there and be like, you know, hey, love you, man. And, you know, if you ever need anything or whatever, or stuff gets hard down the road, like always here.
I had a leader one time say to me, "You ever find yourself in trouble, make me your first call."
Yeah.
There's something really powerful and potent about that, to say, you know, of course I'll be there in your highlights, in your high moments, but if you ever find yourself in a problem that you can't solve, pick up the phone and call me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. That gives confidence.
Right.
This past year at the Dolphins, obviously we loved having you here at Miami, but the news has been announced that you are no longer with the team.
Right.
What can you share about that experience in terms of how that made you feel? Was that a surprise to you? Was that a shock to you? Like, how do you react to that? How do you respond to that?
No, I mean, I understand how the game works and everything like that. And, you know, I'm very appreciative of my time here. And, you know, and really, like, I look at, like, God had brought me to here at this point in my life, to come to VOUS, to find this church, to grow in my faith. And, you know, and really I was kind of struggling anyways with, all right, am I supposed to be here in Miami? Am I supposed to, you know, whatever it is, but really just kind of trusting in his plan that he has for my life and those around me. And I think the more I've done that, the more at peace I am with so much, with everything kind of that's going on. And, you know, I'm actually, you know, looking forward to what he has in store next, and just trusting in it, and whatever that is, whether it's staying in Miami, whether it's going somewhere else, I don't know, you know, but just trying to pray about it and trusting his will for my life.
We're praying that you stay in Miami.
I know.
Come on,
Rich. So is my wife, so is my kids. And like, we were sitting there like, you know, my kids were like, how cold is it like in the Northeast or there or there? And it's like, it is 0 degrees. And like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like,
oh, no.
I'm like, I mean, it's cold in Miami right now, but like,
Dude,
we're
that's a
still,
different
I'm
deal.
not wearing
Buffalo's
a jacket.
a lot colder,
Like,
bro.
I mean,
I think it's kind of cool, like talking about that last year in the NFL and that year in between where maybe it's disappointment or change, what your headspace was, you know, what you ran to for comfort versus right now, maybe facing what I think most people would say is a disappointing situation. But I mean, we're a week or two out from this news coming out that you're not with the Dolphins anymore. Wasn't part of your plans. It's a detour.
Right.
Naturally, that would be disappointing to say, oh, I thought we were doing this, we were building that, thought we were part of a team. But to hear you like right now, even off camera and on camera, like your headspace is totally different. And the fact that you go, I'm looking forward to what's next.
100%.
That's called massive, massive growth and massive maturity.
Like I think reflecting back where it was before, like is so key, and just to see and know that the growth is there. You know, even when I struggle, you know, to live up to that, like I just look at the growth that's been made and just keep on chopping wood towards that. But yeah, I mean, I think looking back, like at that year off and everything, like it was just my life was chaos at that point.
Yeah.
It was almost like, okay, what time can we start drinking?
Yeah.
That's kind of what the days kind of became.
Yep.
And it's like you got 2 young kids, and it's all mass chaos, and you can only golf so many days in a week, and
Right.
and it was funny with the wife too. It's like, all right, you're golfing again today?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but now
Yeah,
I
36 holes, babe.
yeah. And now she like sees this coaching schedule. I'm like, but that's okay. You're working,
Right.
and like, but it's like 7 days a week, and it's long hours and everything like that. But
And you
yeah,
get to
it's
keep your house, and you get to go on vacation.
exactly.
After you
You get to live the good life, or she does.
work. All right, Dakota, you got to put him on the hot seat with some. We got to put him in the hot seat. You got to fire off some
All right, cool.
real trivia
we'll
stuff here.
We'll do a quick round. I'm just going to
Okay.
talk about the best of.
Okay.
So, like an example, I'll say the best hands,
Okay.
and that's who you ever played with or you coached. All right?
Okay.
And so I'm going to talk about
Dang.
stadiums. I'm going to talk about
gotta go quick.
coaches. I'm going to talk about players. Is that
Yep.
cool?
Go.
and preachers.
Okay.
But it's all. It's not like, oh, I saw this stadium. I heard it. It's
Yeah.
like
Craig
I visited.
Rochelle.
It's like you had to.
You freaking guy. You freaking guy.
No.
Of course.
I'm an
of course.
Oklahoma guy. I gotta stay to my roots, bro.
I agree. No,
gotta
I
stay to
agree.
my roots.
I agree.
That was awesome.
I agree. I
Didn't even
actually
ask
agree.
a question. Craig Rochelle.
Yeah, like, I'll start doing that.
on, man.
Greatest leader.
He's just
Craig.
been waiting
Greatest
for a
coach,
plug of that.
Greatest body, Craig. Oh, it's getting weird on here, man. Bodies.
All right, here we go. Best college stadium you played in.
College stadium. Texas A&M.
Best NFL stadium you played in.
Oh gosh. Seattle.
Favorite coordinator.
Josh McDaniels.
Best hands.
Gosh. Rob Gronkowski.
Best routes.
Say it. Say it.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Go.
Best against man-to-man coverage.
Ooh. I mean, Tyreek and Jalen they're ridiculous.
Best NFL moment.
Shaking hands with Bill Belichick after the AFC championship game when I was in Denver.
Why was it special? Because you beat him?
Yeah, and plus we lost to him like earlier in the year, and he like came out and like found me. Whoa, and I didn't play very well and all this stuff, and we
That's
lost
such
to
a
him, and it
great
was just
Favorite
like
NFL moment.
it was
going,
almost
Cody.
like, oh heck of it. I'm just like, yeah, thanks, Cody. Like, but it was just like he seeked me out, and I was like,
What are you,
all
the
right,
savior?
I'm gonna remember that.
Best Mike Leach moment.
Oh, shoot, man. Kidding me? Probably when he offered me a scholarship, he was eating the biggest strawberries you have ever seen in your life. I'm telling you, it looked like an apple. Like, it was just like, he just like swallowing it up, and I haven't been offered yet. And like, my flight is leaving within an hour. And like Tommy McVay's over here, just like, "Hey, coach, we doing?" He's just like, "Yeah, oh yeah." And then he's calling somebody, and then he sits there and he's like, "All right, give me a card." I'm like, "A card?" And he's like, "Yeah. What, ace of spades? Wait, give me some." I'm like,
What?
and I was like, 5 of hearts. And he's like, okay, yep. And so he gets on the phone after asking me or whatever, and he's like, and he's like, all right, talk to the wizard. And I'm like, the wizard?
What is this, Wicked?
And they sit there, and all of a sudden they sit there and they go, 5 of hearts. And then they hang up. And I was just like, that was the weirdest thing ever. But
what did it mean?
nothing. It was just being a wizard. And then he ends up offering me.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
yeah, it was
Like
just-
this guy knew what you had already picked, sort of a thing. It's like a magic trick.
Yes, he was trying to make it like a magic trick, but really, what I found out, he just calls his wife or his assistant, and he's like, they have some sort of code or whatever, and they start going, all right, is it spades, clubs, hearts, diamonds? Yep. And after they hearts,
Weird, bro.
And then they start going through, all right, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he's like, yep, there we go, But yeah.
And okay.
Yeah.
Best pregame speech.
Best pregame speech, Junior Seau.
Specific game.
I will say, like, and I love Junior, like, when you're like a young player and Junior Seau gives like a speech, I'm like, let's go. And we played together in Miami, in New England. It was probably like my third year of hearing him. And then it was kind of like, all right.
Keep going.
Fire it up.
Like every single week, But it would be hilarious because he'd run out of stuff and he'd be like, they're playing checkers. We're playing chess. We're playing chess.
Yes.
We're going to jump them. We're going to jump in there. We're going to take it over. And it's like, we're like, yeah.
It's like getting real specific. We're a knight.
Yeah, exactly.
And the queen goes
Exactly.
diagonal. It's like, what are you saying, man? Best man-to-man corner that ever guarded.
Darrell Rivas.
Darrell Rivas,
Ooh.
by far. Easy.
Yeah, easy.
Best free safety.
Free safety. Troy Polamalu.
Proudest coaching moment.
Or Ed Reed. Proudest coaching moment. And Debo making All-Pro his third year.
Toughest loss.
Man, any of the Super Bowls, probably the 2012 one.
Yeah. I think that's it. Trent Taylor told me, go for it.
Best quarterback.
Best quarterback?
Yeah.
You.
We're kidding. We're not going to make him do it. We're not going to make him do it. We're not gonna make him do it.
Which route? Which route am I running?
No, we're not going to make him do it.
I'm more specific to that.
We're not making him do it.
One word to describe. One word to describe him. Then maybe one word to describe Tom Brady.
Oh man, there's so many, but I just say the dedication.
Yeah.
One word to describe Peyton Manning. Or a sentence.
I would say I want to say something, but like basically just like organized, like very like
Methodical.
yes, methodical. Yeah, like it was hilarious. We did like a deal at Duke where he would bring us all there, and we practice together and hang out or whatever, and all that stuff. He literally made an itinerary for it, usually
Print it
like,
out,
hey, we'll meet up tomorrow about 9:00 up there at the field house or whatever. We'll figure it out. It's like 8:15 stretch. Like, it's like, bro, it's just us. Like, we don't need but like lunch will be at 11:30. Okay. Orders have to be in by 9:05. Like, it's just like the most random stuff ever.
Wes, man.
Trent Taylor told me that after a Super Bowl that you brought like a really dope outfit one year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's that story?
I mean, it was a Super Bowl, so, you got to bring it out.
You swagged out.
I swagged out. It's probably the last time I ever do anything like I need to stop doing anything pompous or anything
After
out
that?
there. Like, I've lost 4 Super Bowls now. I'm just like, I gotta just like, bro, I'm going in there, hat down.
Just gotta go J. Crew on him, man.
Seriously. Like, I'm just going.
What were you wearing after this game? That this famous outfit?
It was basically just like Versace'd out. Like, I mean,
And you still put it on after.
yeah, well, I had nothing else. So now I'm like, God, this is like the worst. I can't believe I'm wearing this right now. All right, just lost. All right, what am I doing? Jeez.
Just silk everything.
Yeah,
you know?
dude, it's all silked out, like leather type pants or some gold tipped shoes that were like ridiculous. Like, never
Just
wear
sitting
those
there at the
again.
inauguration after you lost.
No, I'm just like, I'm gonna frame this outfit if we win this thing.
Oh man, these are really, really good. All right, our final question for you. We call it the Mature Me podcast.
Yep.
What is an area right now, 2025, stepping into it? You got a lot of transition going on. What's an area right now that you want to mature in, that you need to mature in? An area maybe that you're immature in, that you're wanting to grow?
Yeah. I think just the full obedience, like, is really where I want it, like that full obedience to what God's calling for me, you know? And I feel like that I've made so much growth there, but I feel like there's so much more in there, you know? And so that's something that, you know, I'm really looking to grow in and spending more time just being quiet and, you know, looking to hear his voice and what he's kind of calling for me. And so developing that skill more and obeying and trusting in it.
That's pretty fire. That's pretty fire. Well, we believe in you. We love you. We're so grateful for you. Thank you for taking time to come on with us. And
Of course.
I just know for your life, your leadership, who you are, the best really is in front of you. It's not like some cliche thing. You're a winner everywhere that you go. I think you rise to the top. And so I'm hoping somehow you stay in South Florida. Yeah. But wherever you go, whoever gets you, they're going to be really blessed. And thank you for coming on our little podcast today.
Of course, man.
This is a highlight for Dakota and I.
Yep.
And after the cameras turn off, we're just going to keep firing away and going, who is the best quarterback? Yeah. No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it.
No, of course we
Wes
will.
Welker, ladies and gentlemen. Leave a comment. Let us know. And Dakota Duron, as always, be right here. We're now coming to you on Wednesdays. So we'll see you next Wednesday right here on the Mature Me podcast.